think it was a Tuesday night in Launceston. It was about 9:30. We were watching cricket on TV. I think everyone was in bed, and the phone call came through.
An Australian soldier serving with Mentoring Task Force 2 has been killed by an improvised explosive device in Afghanistan.
He just said, "Richard's been killed," and you just sort of those words, sort of you think, oh, that can't be right, and you say repeat it.
A second soldier was seriously wounded in the incident. The next of kin of both soldiers have been informed.
I can tell you what my words were, and that was, no, he can't be dead, because I thought as a mum I'd know.
You said that?
Those were my words, no, he can't be dead.
Corporal Richard Edward Atkinson was on his first deployment to Afghanistan.
And probably, I don't know how it works for other people, but I don't know that I understood that Richard was dead for a long time. I think it probably was in stages that I got it.
Corporal Atkinson's family is in our thoughts and prayers, and we give them our full support, particularly as they grieve at this time.
As a little boy, I remember him as really, really loving and cuddly, and he probably was fairly loving and cuddly as a big boy too.
He was just a fun-loving sort of guy. He was never an academic. He would read if we forced him to, he would study if we forced him to, but he really just loved doing outdoor things and playing sport. I can't say he had a lifelong ambition to join the army, but I was in the Navy for about 8 years in his early life, and I suspect that sort of prompted his interest in joining the army. He was what's called a combat engineer.
I probably didn't ever really understand the level of risk, but from the way I saw it, I wasn't particularly happy, and I told him.
Combat engineers' job, one of their jobs is to clear the way for other combat troops to come through. So one of his jobs was to check for IEDs, roadside bombs, and his team would go out and they would be in front of the troops following, and their job was to locate and, if possible, make it safe for other troops to go through. I think he really believed that they actually had a role and a purpose there. What they were doing with their mission in Afghanistan was making that small area of Afghanistan a safer place for the local population to be.
One of our last contacts with him was late at night. We had just flicked on Skype. It was early in the morning in Tassie, and he was there, and it was really the middle of the night, and he was on duty for an hour and everybody else was asleep. It was just wonderful to see him without any of the other people around him, so he wasn't, I guess, feeling like he couldn't be just our lad, and that was a really special thing to have him there, just on the screen. It was good. I guess it was in January and he died in February, yeah.
When I deal with young men like Corporal Richard Atkinson, I'm reminded they have a level of courage and a view of service that I did not have at their age. Richard, you are now an immortal Anzac. We're proud to have served with you, mate.
People talk about the words heartbroken, and that's essentially what I felt, I think. Probably for weeks afterwards, I just felt like I had this crushing weight on me all the time, on my chest. I could not, think straight. I didn't go back to work for a month.
And there are some days when you feel like you're going well and truly backwards, and there are some days that you feel like you're in a big black space.
Still?
Yeah, still.
Every death since then has felt like we revisit Richard's death. So there have been 11 other deaths since Richard. Some very close. There was a young guy killed within a week or two of Richard, Jamie Larkham. And we have felt every death. I need to know details like how he died. Perhaps it sounds rather weird and morbid, but I needed to know what sort of injuries he had. I need to know whether that he died quickly.
Some people find this very hard to understand, but I also had to know things like the autopsy report. I needed to know the nature of Richard's injuries. I needed to understand how, what and where, so that I could process his death and get past the horrible bits of Richard's life and death, to get to the good bits, to remember the nice things, to remember the happy times. I understand that he died very, very quickly. I understand he died with mates around him, mates that he really, really cared about, doing something that he really, really cared about. And that's very important to me. I think it was absolutely the right thing for us.
Really, it would just be fodder for perhaps a cycle of news that would not be of use to anyone, so we read the report. We decided that Kate and I, we asked Defence that report not be released, and we're comfortable with that decision.
I've seen the report, and the report is a really sad place to go. It's got some details in it that I would never want anybody's grandmother or grandfather to have to read. Things that would just make other people so sad. And it's a very graphic place to be. It's yeah, a really harsh place to go, a very hard thing to do.
I suppose my position has always been one of openness.
But you've now seen the other side of the coin on this.
Well, yeah, I have. And it becomes very personal.
The grief's changed now. There's something else. It's I was only talking to Ross about it the other day, that sometimes you can just be doing something really, really ordinary, and a mental image of Richard's death will come into my mind. That moment when he died, the scene of where he died and how he died.
You see that?
Yeah, oh, very much so. I see it very clearly. But that doesn't mean other people do, but that's how I see it. And it can give you the most incredible jolt. Sometimes it can just hit you like I would think that you would hit a wall, you know, almost fall backwards on your back. Just an incredible jolt. It's really hard. It's horrible.
I think in the last year I've taken the attitude that I will simply be supportive of the soldiers who are there, and not to try and become involved in anything that might make them feel that their role there is not meaningful. Yes, it changes my view of Afghanistan. I have to look at Afghanistan now and think, well, what has the purpose and why has this conflict dragged on for 11 years?
What I hope is that it will be over very soon and we can get all our people home. I feel concerned every day, every night, for our lads that are there and our women that are overseas.
As the years go by, it will be more difficult for us in many ways, because the interest of Richard and the other young guys who have been killed over there goes away.
We'll forget.
They will forget.
I don't feel angry. I feel very, very sad for the people of Afghanistan, the ordinary people, you know, the mums and the dads and the kids, and people just trying to live their lives. I feel really sad that Richard died there, but I'm not angry.